Welcome to the East Bank Sports Show with your hosts, Matt and Noah.
So for the first time, I am introing this video kind of heated, not just with Kevin Stefanski, but with the whole game plan. Welcome back in, guys. We're talking Browns Broncos today. We're talking OSU. We're doing a Dustin Hopkins highlight, bringing in one of our friends that was the NCAC Special Teams Player of the Year. We got a big show going for you. Matt, say what's up to everybody.
How's everybody doing? Hopefully your weekend wasn't as horrible as ours was.
Well, if they're Cleveland fans and Ohio fans in general, they probably had just about as bad as weekend as we did. Minus Thanksgiving. I had a good Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving, Matt?
I had a wonderful Thanksgiving. It was a good time.
Yep, I agree. I went down. I was actually in Indiana for my girlfriend's family's Thanksgiving. First time I have spent Thanksgiving away from home.
Oh, was that a big shake-up?
It was all right. We had dinner with my family beforehand and stuff too. But getting into everything. The Browns lose on the road to the Broncos 12-29 in one of the ugliest games of the year. Matt, what are your initial reactions to everything?
Top to bottom, across the board, it was downright embarrassing. I mean, we got
100%.
outcoached, we got outplayed. It was just ugly. Like, there's not many things that we can sit here and, we're usually able to cherry pick one or two good things out of a game. I don't have much.
Yeah, the play calling was bad to me. The injuries we sustained were bad. We'll get into those in a second. The defense didn't look fantastic, in my opinion. This was a rough game for the Cleveland Browns. Honestly, to me, it seemed like we almost went in lackadaisical after beating the Steelers, which is just sad to me because I feel like we're not that team anymore. But hey, we're still relatively young, all things considered. So I don't know. It was just a rough game through and through. I'm really heated with the national media. Sanchez on the call for that game made a lot of egregious takes. It almost felt like he was cheering us getting hurt at some points. Like the Cleveland against the world mentality I had listening to this game in the bar I was watching this game really just I have a lack of words for some of the commentating that was going on during that game. Matt, I know you watch at work. Did you have the audio on?
I had it on. It's kinda tough to hear at times, but there were moments where I was like, "Wait, did I hear that right? What is this guy talking? Like, what is he saying right now?" It
The
was it
worst
was
one,
frustrating.
yeah, the worst one was when DTR got the hit where he was concussed and busted his lip open. And Sanchez is like, "Oh yeah, that's a clean hit. That's a clean hit." That was crazy to me. Speaking of DTR, he's out. He's in concussion protocol. Which if you saw the hit, that's not surprising at all.
Makes sense.
Which we'll go into in a little bit about what's going on with the quarterback situation going into LA at the end of the video, end of the podcast, like we normally do. Myles Garrett got hurt, said he heard a pop in his shoulder. Thankfully, he's day to day right now, so it sounds like he's going to be fine to play football, if not miss a game or whatever. But that's fine with me if he's still playing because we still have a lot of season left and a winning record. And then Amari Cooper had negative x-rays for his rib injury, which is good. No issues there, but probably in a lot of pain. Matt, did they seem like they were playing a little dirty to you?
It it felt like they were taking shots that didn't really need to be taken, and I
That's
mean,
that's kind of
even,
where I'm at. Yeah, go ahead.
like, the first drive of the game, or maybe it might have been the second, it was early in the game. There was, like, 2 or 3 plays in a row where things got kinda chippy on the Denver Broncos sideline, and
Yeah.
just, like, all around, part of it might be the frustration of, we got beat and we got beat ugly, but I also think it wasn't the cleanest game played ever.
Yeah, and I'm not calling the whole game dirty, but the shot that Amari took, the shot that DTR took, they were both pretty egregiously bad in my opinion. I just wasn't a fan of those hits whatsoever in terms of keeping the game of football safe. Lowering the helmet, going for the head, that kind of I'm not about it. I don't know. It just seemed there was a lot of talk on Twitter I saw too that the Denver Broncos were playing dirty. Um, I don't always like to describe a team as playing dirty, but it was kind of a rough game in terms of that kind of thing.
I mean, not only is it dangerous and player like it puts players' safety at risk, it also gives the league a bad rep, you know?
Yeah,
And it just
100%.
it's all around a bad thing. I mean, you see tweets flying around talking about how a team's playing dirty. It's gonna change how you look at a league you don't care about, you know?
Yeah, it was rough from the Denver side, but all in all, that's not an excuse. They still beat us, and they beat us pretty decidingly, 29-12. Um, DTR, in my opinion, real quick, I do want to talk about this and touch on it. DTR was playing a pretty good game, I think, until the injury. All things considered, I think we passed way too much, regardless of what situation we are in. I've never been a full blown run the ball Stefanski guy, but like yesterday, Sunday, that game, I was a run the ball Stefanski guy. What are you doing? You're playing against the 32nd ranked rush defense in the NFL. Run the damn ball.
He needs to give up play calling, man. He does. It's too much for him to handle. He can't do it. Like
And I
we're
agree. I
we're
agree.
down to our third string quarterback, and you're gonna start flipping the ball to 8 different players on the same play. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to pull this up real quick. For the whole game, the Browns had 24 runs and 17 passes in non-obvious pass situations, which are like, your third downs, your long yardage
Yeah.
situations, which does bring it down, but he was still running the ball at 58.5% of the time, where I think almost every first down, majority of the second downs could have been a run just against that defense and how they've been playing. So I don't know. That was a stat I wanted to break up and bring up, not break up. But the other thing I was going to say is I saw a tweet today that said, "Are we seriously blaming Kevin Stefanski for Pierre Strong dropping an end around?" And the reply was, "Do you blame the baby or the parents when there's a baby driving an SUV down the highway?"
It's a perfect analogy for it. I mean,
Right.
y you can't be mad at him for dropping the ball. You can be very mad at Kevin for putting him in a position to drop the ball. Like, it makes no sense for any like I'm gonna get mad real quick here.
No, I don't agree with any, and especially when PJ Walker came into the game, it felt like he panicked and just started calling trick plays and weird plays and stuff that he shouldn't have been calling. This was the easiest game if you were a Kevin Stefanski critic to be a critic, because some of the stuff that happened during this game, when, for lack of a better term, shit hit the fan, we crumbled as a coaching staff this week.
I mean, let's go back and look at what I believe was our first touchdown drive.
Yeah,
Did we not run the ball like 8 times in a row?
I believe so. I believe the touchdown drive, we did run the ball. I do want to say real quick, congratulations to DTR. He did throw his first career touchdown pass in that game.
That's a big one. Hopefully, it gets the ball rolling for him when he gets back healthy.
Yeah, I agree. So moving on to the next segment, we brought in one of our good friends. He is the reigning NCAC Special Teams Player of the Year. He was the starting kicker and one of my good friends, one of my frat brothers during my time in college. Everybody, welcome on Lake Barrett.
Thanks for having me on, Noah. Excited to talk some special teams.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on, man. So, Dustin Hopkins has been a very big bright spot for this Browns team since all the injuries and everything, the offense not clicking like it should. Tell me about it. Why do you think we got Dustin Hopkins in the trade like we did?
All right, so Dustin Hopkins, he's traveled around a lot in his time in the league. He started off with the Bills, never made it there, found his way to Washington. That's where he got his first stint of success, and then he got cut, picked up by the Chargers, and that's where we got him. So throughout his time, his biggest issue has been injury problems, and last season he got hurt with the Chargers. And when they brought in Cameron Dicker, he did the job just as well. And so the reason the Chargers were willing to move on and not take the veteran It's because Hopkins is on a contract worth 3, almost 4 times what they're paying this practically rookie kicker. So when they had similar production, they were willing to deal him. And we were in a position after that preseason watching Cade York really not give us confidence that he was going to be able to turn it around, that it seemed like a smart move, and it's paid off.
Yeah, it really has paid off. He's probably been my favorite Brown to watch in terms of scoring this year. I think Matt, you'll agree with me on that. It's refreshing to kind of sit here and feel good about a kicker going out for, routine field goals.
I mean, I remember when we drafted Cade York and we looked at each other and we went, we finally have a kicker. And I don't think either of us have said that to each other until now because we just wanted to be sure we have him. And I think we have him now. It's been fantastic for us.
I mean, going into the stats real quick, this year he is um doing really well in terms of making his field goals and stuff. He's 31 for 28 and he's 16 for 15 on PAT. I mean, he's kicking above 90% both ways. He's hit a couple long ones. Did he hit his career long this year, either of you?
I believe he did. I know he got some record for consecutive 50-yarders or number of 50-yarders in a game, something that put him in Canton on a brief display for a week.
Yeah, we talked about that on the podcast when it happened. I think it was 4 or 5 games back to back 50-yard field goal makes or something like that. But go ahead, break down how he's been so successful, especially in a stadium like Cleveland Browns Stadium that's so hard to kick in.
So one thing that I'm looking at is his experience. He's 33. He's been in the league since 2013. So even though he wasn't playing that entire time, he's been around organizations and he knows how to be successful. He's seen other kickers, what they've done to be successful, and he's moved organization to organization to be able to, find what works for him. That makes a big difference. You see a lot of kickers like Cade York. I wish him the best, but when they come fresh out of college, a lot of guys struggle to handle the NFL. And so I think that experience is a big thing. Another one is that, he hits the ball hard. He puts power in it. He can push it through. Coming out of high school as a recruit, he was, top of his class for kickoff distance. I've seen videos of him putting a kickoff 85 yards plus. He can smash it. And when you're in a windy environment like Cleveland, having the confidence that you're just putting your foot through that ball, you don't have to worry about distance. You're worrying about accuracy. That can make a difference as well. And then looking at his form, I'm seeing a big difference with what he's doing compared to what Cade York did. So a lot of Cade York's misses, he would swipe at it. We had those drifting wide right a lot. And if you look at, Hopkins' misses this year, his 3 field goals have all been wide left, and they've been wide left by like 2 feet at the most. So he's just fallen victim to that tendency of those right-footed kickers to kind of let your momentum take you to the left a little bit. But the fact that that's 3 out of 31 attempts, I mean, he's got it under control. So, I'm seeing consistency, I'm seeing experience, and a guy that's just got the pure leg strength to say, I don't care about the wind.
That's interesting. So that's a tendency for right-footed kickers then to kick it like that.
Right. So when you draw your leg back and then swing through, your leg can't detach from your body. So that momentum pulls you forward and then it swings to the left. Same thing to the right for left-footed kickers. And the way you get past that is you got to make sure you're following through straight, but also getting off your plant foot, because the harder you're planted into the ground, the more you spin to your left and you miss it. And on his misses, that's just what happened. And, it's something that's hard to avoid as a kicker. You saw Justin Tucker do it last night in prime time. Yeah, it's part of the business. But
I was going to text you. I was going to text you when he missed that to ask you what the mechanics behind that was. So that's interesting that you bring it up, because I was watching the game because, of course, I wanted the Ravens to lose just for Brown's sake. So that's interesting that you bring it up. Matt, I think you had a question for Lake.
One thing I'm curious about, you being a career kicker and talking about like the fundamentals, is that like, say you learn fundamentals in high school, how does that play into learning in college as you did? Like, do you have to relearn most of that? Or is it just kind of something you carry and work on and develop on?
Yeah, so you're drilling the fundamentals from the day you get your first coaching, and they don't change. That's the thing about kicking is you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and there's really one accepted way to do that. There's some personal preference, maybe how you like to do your steps. If you've got a pre-kick ritual, you like to aim your arm at the goalpost. There's a little wiggle room there, but other than that, kicking is very specific. You are doing the same thing over and over again. So that's another thing where the experience comes in. I know in my time, in my last year, I was a lot more consistent than I was. Even in my 6th year, I played for about 10. And that's just experience. The more you practice, the more you get rid of those bad habits. When you're talking about a guy that's been in the league for 10 years, probably, I know he kicked in college. Prior to Will Reichert breaking his record, he was the highest scorer in NCAA FBS history, I believe, with 400 something points. He had a great career there and probably played in high school too. So that time just adds up, drilling the correct way to do things over and over again.
And real quick before we go back, I got a couple more things I want to talk about Hopkins, just so the viewers know. Give us your background. Like, I obviously you played college football with me, but explain that your kicking history as a player.
All right, so I'm a pretty small guy, so I learned middle school football. If I was going to get on the field, it was going to be as a kicker. So I dove into that as soon as I was in 8th grade. I started practicing that, putting a lot of time in, getting coaching as well, so that by the time I was in high school and playing for my program, I was getting help from, Elliot Fry back in Columbia where I live. He was finishing up his career at South Carolina there, so I was working with him a little bit. I also spent time working with some of the major training and recruiting organizations in kicking. So I got really, really great instruction. And part of that, I got to work with, I think at one point, I counted 7 different NFL specialists that I'd worked with at some point,
You want to
including
name
both.
drop a few of them? You want to
What?
name drop a few of them?
Yeah, both Carlson brothers. So Anders Carlson with the Packers right now, Daniel Carlson's with the Raiders, Michael Pilardi, he was a punter, bounced around a good bit. Harrison Butker, I worked with briefly. He's obviously done very well over in Kansas City. Trevor Daniel, he was another punter, but only for a few years. He's no longer in the league, as far as I know. Elliot Fry, that was another one. He's been
Right.
a practice squad guy. So those are some of the guys I was able to really see. It made me better, but it also let me have an inside look into the world of NFL kicking, how those guys are training. And that helped me. I played at the College of Worcester for 4 years.
Roll
I'm
Scots, baby.
blessed to have been able to have a lot of opportunities and make the most of them, do my best. And at this point, I am currently retired. So this is the side of the game I'm on now.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on the show too with all the expertise you do have. I'm glad that we brought you in for this. Matt, I think you had another question for him.
I think really, I guess the big question here, coming back to Hopkins a little bit, is he going to continue his success? Is he going to continue kicking as well as he had for us, in your opinion?
I think so. It seems like he has found an environment that works, and that includes snapper, holder, special teams coach. All of that makes a difference. And also confidence. Once you get rolling, it's a lot easier to keep rolling. The thing I would have us keep an eye on is that injury history, especially now that the weather is starting to get cold. He's had a major injury in Buffalo. He had an injury in Washington. He had an injury in Los Angeles. So we need to make sure he's working close with the medical staff, keeping tabs on his groin. That's been an issue for him. But if we can keep that in check, I think we can have some consistency at the position. And that's really important. Special teams is all about consistency, and that includes personnel.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really hoping he continues his streak and it's not an injury problem because that's been the bug that's been bothering this Browns team the most. Like, I really appreciate you coming on the show, giving us some background. Is there any final thoughts you want to throw out there on Dustin Hopkins?
Yeah, I've been enjoying watching him too. He strikes a clean ball, and The last thought I'd want to throw in is that I've also been impressed with Bajorquez. He's been doing a good job. I think our special teams this year have been really solid.
I want to thank Lake again for coming on. He's been a really good friend of mine throughout my whole college career. And now that I've graduated, I'm glad that I can still call him a friend. So if you're listening to this back now that you've been on the show, Lake, thank you for coming on again. Switching gears, I do want to talk about the Cavs briefly. And I know we want to talk about the Guardians briefly, like very briefly, like 30-second rundown. Cavs look good against the Lakers. Very pleased with what this team is doing so far. They've been moving back into the positive direction they need to be moving. And then they beat the Raptors 2 nights ago. Last night, that was Sunday. They beat the Raptors, and we're 9-8, and we're looking good. Matt, go to guards.
So today we finally finished out the coaching tree under the new manager. We promoted Douglas Odor from the Ducks, hired
Go
in
Ducks.
Brad Goldberg,
Yep.
also from the Ducks actually, and then hired in Kai Correa to be the major league field coordinator. Goldberg will be the bullpen coach. Odor will be the infield coach. All around, I think they're good moves. It's the staff the new manager wants. It's what he gets. Go guards.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. For those that don't know, I did used to work for the Akron Rubber Ducks, so I'm very biased towards anything Ducks related happening with the guards. So I'm very happy that Odor got the recognition he deserved. He was the highest winning manager in Akron Rubber Ducks history. So that was a quick roundup. Let's talk Ohio State. First time we're talking Ohio State on the podcast. Lose to Michigan. Matt, take it away.
Fire Ryan Day. Fire
Yeah.
him. Fire him. Fire him. You don't lose to Michigan 3 times in a row. As much as I don't like Coach Harbaugh, I hate how accurate his quote from earlier in the week was. That it's some people are born on third base and think they hit a triple. And I think it's kind of accurate. Ryan Day has not done anything to impress me. And now he's lost the biggest game of our season 3 years in a row. You just can't do that.
I'm on the fence because it's like we go 11-0 or whatnot, and we get to the playoffs or we're close, but we lose these 3 games. And as Ohio State fans, obviously the biggest game other than maybe a national championship in a national championship year is the Michigan game. And seeing Ryan Day lose it 3 times in a row, I wouldn't be upset with a change, but I also question what's better out there. You know what I mean?
The
Like
reason that I'm pushing so hard for it is because I have the answer to that. And I'm worried he's going to get hired out from under us if we don't do it soon. It's Brian Hartline. He's going to be a phenomenal head coach. And he's going to be
That's
hired to
an
be a head coach
interesting one.
somewhere if we don't do it quick enough.
You think Hartline, Ohio State guy, comes back? Well, I mean, he's one of the coaches, obviously, but comes in as the head coach. You think that's the change we need?
I think if we, give birth to him on third, he's not going to do any worse than what we're doing right now.
That's interesting. I like Brian Hartline just because he was a Brown and obviously a Buckeye too. Actually have his autograph. My aunt met him. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. I haven't done much research on who the replacement would be. I'm just very impartial about what happens to Ryan Day. If they keep him, I get it. If they fire him, I get it. I just want to see us beat Michigan, man. I am so sick of losing to Michigan already. And I know I'm spoiled as an Ohio State fan because I've watched them win so many times against Michigan in my short 23-year life. So, yeah, all in all, I'm upset about Ryan Day, just like you are, Matt. Any last thoughts on Ohio State, real quick?
One way or another, I won't be too shocked, but I think I'm 51% fire the man, 49, whatever happens, happens.
Fair enough. So, going into our final topic of the day, let's talk Browns, Rams. How we feeling, Matt?
Not good. Not
Yeah,
good.
me either.
I mean, the Rams, granted it was against the Cardinals, but they're coming off a high scoring win, and we might end up starting our 4th quarterback of the season.
So yeah, let's get into that. So this is definitely Joe Flacco's start, right? Unless DTR clears concussion protocols within the week, right?
I mean, I don't see a realistic way he can clear. Watching that hit he took, there's no way.
No, there isn't. I agree. Predictions for the game.
13 to 21, Browns lose.
I'm gonna go Browns lose too. I'm going 10-21. Especially if it's Joe Flacco. I don't know. And especially if Myles Garrett's out this week with the shoulder injury, because that's still on the table too. We're looking at a very depleted team going into this game. You know, I have confidence that this could also be a rally back game for the Browns. Depending who plays, who starts, and that kind of thing. So I don't think the season's over. I don't think the season's dead. I think this could be a rough one just because of the injuries and stuff. I'm more positive than anything that, you know, you can have one bad game and bounce back. And I think this team has shown that. But I also think that, you know, sometimes the odds are stacked against you. And if we're not playing Myles Garrett, we're not playing Amari Cooper, we're not playing DTR, amongst all the other injuries we've already had this season, it's going to be a tough one for us to go. But the Rams aren't that great of a team. So I could still see us pulling this out. I could still very much see us pulling this game out. I'm not doom and gloom yet. You know, we lost one game after beating two division rivals back to back. There's a lot that could be on the line here. It's a put up or shut up kind of game, kind of next couple games depending on, you know, injuries and stuff, because that's about the only excuse I'd ever accept, and I don't accept excuses, so it's the closest thing, I guess. Matt, any other input?
I mean, the two things that I kind of want to just talk about real quick is Cleveland for the past 2 or 3 years even has always been a next man up team. It's just the way we've had to play. A lot of teams have to play that way. It seems to hit Cleveland pretty hard though. Eventually though, we're going to run out of those next men. Like I just get more and more nervous each time I see a Brown go down because up to this point, most everybody that's had to step up has played better than a backup or a third stringer should. But we're gonna start getting to like fourth stringers here soon. We're gonna be calling up practice squad guys to get onto the field. Like,
Yeah, I know. And I hate being deflated because I feel like I'm the optimist to your pessimist, but right now I'm kind of deflated, man. It sucks. I want to be more excited than I am. It's just scary, man, especially being out there on the West Coast. The great thing is the team is out there on the West Coast right now. So, with that being said, there's no time zone adjustment again or anything like that. We're just out there. We're practicing at UCLA. I really, really hope that we get, you know, two of these guys back at least, you know, Amari, Garrett, DTR, any of the three.
as a fan base, we've been saying this team's legit. It's finally, it's coming around. We're looking like a solid football organization. And through all the injuries, we just got to prove it. Like you said, put up or shut up. We're into the playoff push at this point of the season. I'd call it there. We're still fighting for the division. I mean, hey, the Eagles lost to the Patriots. Everybody's going to have a bad week. You're not going to win them all.
The Broncos beat the Chiefs.
Exactly. I mean, the Broncos have looked very good the last few weeks. And I think that obviously played into it. They've won, I think, 4 in a row coming into that, now 5. Like, they've been playing good. I don't think it's necessarily a horrible loss. It's just frustrating to see us go about it that way. But
Yeah,
we
it
just need
was
to
like one
bounce
of
back.
those. It was like just a depleting loss. I'm with you 100%.
All we can do now is look to the Rams, move forward. The league moves forward.
Yep. One last thing I want to touch on real quick is I've seen a lot of Fire Stefanski things on Twitter, on social media, on the in the office, in my personal life. Can we stop being that fan base, please? I get it. We're upset we lost, but every time we lose, we go from, oh my God, we're the best team in the NFL, to fire the coach, fire everybody, blow it up. We're not the Browns of old. We proved that already this year. We're not. Let it go. It's okay that he's our coach. There's some things you could tweak. You should probably not be the play caller. I'll be the first to say that. Well, Matt'll be the first. I'll be the second. Let's relax a little bit, guys. We're 7-4. We're acting like this is another 0-16 Hugh Jackson fiasco, and it's not. Let's take a deep breath. We're watching meaningful football. The next game's December. We're still in the hunt. We're not even in the hunt. We're actually in the wild card right now.
I've been one of the biggest critics of Kevin Stefanski the entire time we've done this. And I'm not even ready. I don't want to fire him. He just needs to give up play calling. Once he does that, we'll be fine.
I think he's shown this year too that he is a solid coach. He gets the guys fired up. He's gives good speeches in the locker room, all the stuff that people, would criticize him in the past, which to me doesn't really matter because no one knows what he does on the practice field and behind closed doors anyway, so why do we care? Let's just take a deep breath. That's my major takeaway is yeah, I'm upset we lost. It was ugly. We should have ran the ball more. I don't feel super confident going in the Rams game right now just because of the injuries mainly. Let's take a deep breath, Cleveland. We're good. We're going to be good.
I know I've said this before, but 1 week does not define a season, whether it's beating the 49ers by 1 or losing to the Broncos by multiple scores. 1 week doesn't change a single thing. And I don't want to keep going back to them, but the Eagles look like one of the best teams in the league this year, and they lost to the Patriots, arguably the worst.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Let's take a deep breath. Let's cheer on our Brownies. You know what? In the tune of optimism that I like to exude on this podcast, I'm going 21-17 Browns. 24-17 Browns. Browns win. Last thing to cover real quick before we leave. Parlay for the week. We're going Browns money line. We're going Jerome Ford touchdown. Parlay that together. Put a nice $25 on it. Win you some money. Don't take my Njoku bets anymore because he still can't catch a ball.
I don't even really want to get into that today.
If it's a third game, that'll be a topic for us next week for sure.
It will be probably a good chunk of the episode.
I agree. Well, thank you everybody for listening to the East Bank Sports Show. We will talk to you next week with hopefully some good news about Browns, Ravens, hopefully some good news about all the other Cleveland sports players, Cleveland, everything, because we're not going to be able to talk about Ohio State again until a bowl game. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching and see you next time.
Go Browns.